What do you mean you don't have hot sauce? This is Texas. We put Tabasco on cornflakes. You can play it safe if you want to, but you gotta risk it to get that biscuit. When it comes to business, you gotta look out for the cookout. That's how we do it in Texas. What do you mean my accent is too southern? Well, we're fixing to get it on Solve for X. Welcome to Solve for X, the podcast where curiosity meets collaboration. I'm Dr. Rick Fernandez, your host on this journey into the heart of education and innovation. Welcome back to another episode of Solve for X, kicking off 2026 with a guest I've been wanting to have on for quite some time, retired Tomball ISD board member and someone who I like to think of as the king of common sense, particularly in board meetings, Mr. Matt Schiel. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Rick. Well, Dr. Fernandez, I'll call Dr. Fernandez.
No, you don't.
I'm a doctor.
And I know you're working towards yours, so you took some time out of writing your paper today to jump on and chat a little bit with me. So I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just doing reference page, so it's okay. No big deal.
You're not using any AI, are you? Not whatsoever, right?
Grammarly is about the only thing
Yeah.
I'm using, but for me, I want to write this myself. I don't want a bunch of AI stuff, and so Grammarly is about the worst I'm using, because
Awesome.
if it's not for me, then what am I doing? I'm not teaching my kids. Do your own work.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Own your learning. And that's a big debate in the K-12 space right now. Before we get into that, I got to ask a little bit about your background and kind of your story that led you to initially run for board. And then we'll get into some of the things that you're proud of, some of the lessons learned or what have you. But if you can just tell a little bit about your background and why you decided to run for the school board in Tomball.
My kids, I've always been involved with the schools from FFA, 4-H, doing the elementary, the DAD program at the elementary schools.
Watchdog dads. Watchdogs.
Watchdogs. So always been involved. We've been in this community since 1850. So by the time the kids were older, they were more, they did stuff on their own. So it's like, okay, it's time for me to give back. My grandpa was a school board member way back in the day. So he only got one term out of the deal. But so I was like, it was my turn to serve. And there's an open position, so I ran, and the rest is history. Had a nice little politics with Lee McLeod. So, we kind of hate each other there for a little bit, but we're all best friends now, and no big deal. So it was just I thought my turn to serve, and I knew it wasn't going to do a long time. No, I wasn't going to be a 30, 40-year person.
Right.
My idea was to do it till the kids graduated, and then go off in the sunset. So, that's because now, looking back now, that's probably the best thing, because once the twins graduated from high school, I lost a lot of that inside information. Hey,
Right.
What's really going on? What's the real feeling from the kids? And after that, I didn't know. The parents weren't coming to me as they were when the kids were in school. It was a nice time, and the politics started to get a little bit heavier to where it wasn't fun to be on the school board. It was work, and I want to be fun and give back, not have to worry about if I'm a Republican or a Democrat or independent or any of that stuff. My thought was, I'm there for Tomball ISD, and that's who I'm fiduciary responsible for. And it didn't matter what aisle I picked on or what side I was on. My goal was, I'm there for the best of Tomball ISD, and the parents, the kids, the staff. That was my responsibility. It didn't matter what political, side I was on.
Yeah, no, and quite frankly, I wish some of our current school board members, not in Tomball, but just in general across the nation, as you mentioned, the politics have really kicked up, and it's tough. It's tough on everybody. It's tough on the school board members. It's tough on superintendents, and ultimately it's tough on teachers and kids. You guys accomplished and continue to accomplish so much in that community. What are some of the big ticket items that you're just really proud of that y'all were able to get done as a team of 8?
I think it's probably pretty boring, but being consistent.
Yes.
For our staff, going through school and going, Dr. Gutierrez I had to do a little one semester of shadowing and seeing kind of behind the screens about how all the sausage gets made.
Yep.
And I know he's talking about just being consistent. It's kind of like at work, if you have a boss that's really mean, you want to be mean the whole time, not mean one day, nice one day. So I would say we're very consistent with the superintendent and with staff. The expectations were high, and we never lower from them, but we never went above what we thought they could do. So it's very consistent, and I think that's probably the best thing from what I see from other school boards out there. They're up and down, changing all the time. Can't make a decision. That's, I think, puts a lot of pressure on a lot of different people. But as far as the probably one thing that's probably the kind of controversial was the stadium. I wasn't really all for it, but it turned out to be pretty nice. And we kind of look at it, from far away. I said it's only dollars per day because we're going to keep that thing for 50, 60 years. So, that kind of thing. And then all the new schools we're building, we're still building. We're not decommissioning schools. So I think that says a lot of things about our community and working with the Chamber of Commerce and what Dr. Z always says, we're a destination. So even looking out my back window here, my bedroom here, I got 3 different neighborhoods coming in right behind me eventually. So people are coming. We got to build the schools. We're not going down. We're only going up. So I think a lot of that is kind of contributed to what the whole community is. They're behind the school district. Haven't had any major issues or real big scandals that at least I know,
Yeah.
at least where I would get, asking questions about. So a lot of that good fun stuff is makes for a nice, stable community and school district.
Superintendents get beat up quite a bit, particularly now, for a lot of reasons, right? Whether it's politics, whether it's the money that they make. And I've always respected your kind of common sense approach particularly to the business aspect of running a school district and guiding that work. What would you liken the role of a superintendent to in the private sector? Because I feel like, after having to sit in that seat and get my butt handed to me a few times, that you're running a small city and you're responsible for a lot of different moving parts. And I don't think people always understand that and kind of just say, oh, well, they're making $150,000 or $200,000 and that's ridiculous. I just want your take on what do you think that role is comparable to in the private sector?
Yeah, you're going to be, we equate it to you're the CEO of a large corporation. We got 2,000 employees, $100 million budget. So you're a CEO, and a lot more CEOs make they're making $1 million plus. So that, or a city manager for a large town now. So that's what it equates to. So, I know people get bent out of shape about superintendent's salary. We figured out it's an arms race because they're not that many great superintendents out there. They're good ones and they're great ones, and there's not many great ones out there. And our community expects a great superintendent. So, the salary might be higher than the president of the United States, but there's a lot of corporate guys making $20 million buyouts. That's to me. I wish I was an SEC coach for 2 years. I get my $54 million buyout from LSU, and I'd be like Coach O going to Florida. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but they're on call 24 hours a day. I know Dr. Z, she's in Italy, and I guarantee you she's been on the phone, on emails, doing stuff. She's not there just sipping coffee and eating the bagel. She's working. I guarantee you she's doing something. So even when you're on vacation, you're still at work.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I think that's how I feel about the position. And even a CEO, I think most of the time you're dealing with adults, or you're building something, or you're providing some type of service, whatever it is. a superintendent is responsible for children, and that weight, that's a different weight on your not only on you but on your family as well, because you carry that weight. That weight doesn't just stop because the weekend gets here. So I think you make a lot of valid points. What is one thing that you didn't like about being a school board a trustee? Is there anything that stands out? It's like, man, I didn't really care for this part of the job.
The first term was fun. Everybody got along. Everybody was good. It wasn't until COVID happened, and Dr. Pratt was the president during that little thing. The first part of it, that I kind of took over the recovery part of it, to where we get emails. Now you get emails about when we open back up, and we had the mask or no mask deal. So
Yeah.
one side of the aisle was telling me I was killing their kid because people weren't wearing their mask. They're going to die. They're going to have these long-term effects of mental problems. And then the other side saying, thank you for not making us wear masks, whatever. So at the same time, I have, 2 children in school. I have a nephew in school, and I got 3 other cousins who, I'm basically their uncle, all in school. So I have like, 5, 6 different kids in school with me, being president of the school board. And you got parents who don't know me saying, I'm trying to kill their kids. Well, if
Right.
I'm trying to kill your kid, I'm trying to kill my kids too, and my cousins, and my nephew. So, my job was there to do what we got to do to keep the school open, because at times we did have some fire marshal issues to where they could have shut us down, because of too many COVID cases. So job number 1 was keep the schools open, and and do the best we can, because at that time we can always Monday morning quarterback what we should have done, what we could have done, all the politics of it. But at that time, in that moment, we're going from hour to hour, day to day, and so my job, I thought, was to keep the school open and keep the sickness down and do whatever we got to do to keep everybody on track, because we all learned that this online learning for a lot of kids does not work. It didn't work for my kids. So, in school is the best way to learn.
Yep. And, it's almost to where it didn't matter what you decided. You're going to, 50% of the community were going to hate the decision. And so it really felt like, most school districts could do no right. It just was a no-win situation. And no, I think y'all had a good approach. And I was there for the first part of it as COVID happened. And, man, mobilized, and you guys removed all the barriers for us and just said, like, tell us what you need, and let's do it together. So that was not the case for most districts. After having a little bit more experiences and talking to other people across the country is how they dealt with that situation. We were lucky to have the school board that we had to be in a situation like that, so we could navigate it and mitigate some of those things. So y'all did a tremendous job. Do we overcomplicate things in terms of education in school? But I feel like it's gotten some school board meetings are so crammed with things that I would argue may not matter. Do you feel like there's some opportunity to probably cut back on the less important stuff and really focus in on students and how we're helping our teachers and our administrators and really get into the meat of the work?
Probably a lot of overdone. I can remember, in this community here, we had a 1-room schoolhouse full of kids.
Yep.
No internet, no 1 teacher, 2 teachers. Very simple. Even over at Salem Lutheran, where my dad and my grandma went, it was basically a 1-room schoolhouse, and they all survived. They all got education, learned how to read, write, all that fun stuff. It's like, well, why can't we get back to that today? Now, I know that's a lot of people would just, oh my God, we can't go back to that simpler time to where we didn't worry. Well, I think a lot of problem is from too much government in our school. All the things we got to do, we got to feed kids from basic kindergarten till seniors 2 times a day. A lot of things that we probably shouldn't be doing. It should be on a parental side, on the house side. The school is taking over raising a lot of kids. And to me, for our society, that's a bad commentary to where we got to raise kids because parents can't feed them, don't want to feed them or whatever. We're begging them just to give them to school some days.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things I think we could probably, if we weren't forced to do a lot of things, that maybe a lot of those good intentions. Now it's caused a lot of issues that were a lot of programs, and I don't know. I think it could be a lot simpler how we do it. Just don't worry about more of ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and get back to basics to where the kids can learn, have good education, and be productive citizens. But now we have a program for everybody, which is, I guess we have learned that not every kids don't go to college or do this or do that. So I think the Pandora's box is open. It'll never be back. Can they get back in? But I think there's some ways. There's got to be some ways to make it simpler, easier, less expensive to educate the children of the United States.
That's a great point because, as a former principal, like, people don't realize you're not just there your day doesn't just, all right, like, how do we help them learn today, right? Or how do we help them learn this week or read or whatever? I mean, you're asked to do everything. You're asked to figure out how to get them there and feed them and make sure that they're emotionally can go to class and learn. And quite frankly, we're not equipped to do that. I mean, we're not. We do the best we can with it, but as educators, we take on a lot, and it's a kid, so you're not going to say no. You're going to try to help them. But you're right. There are a lot of things that have been thrust upon educators that probably aren't their role and shouldn't be a part of, because then they can't do their job of educating students, right? They're having to do all these other things. So yeah, I would agree with that. There's a balance there. I just don't know what it is.
If we figure that out, we'll be billionaires because we can sell everybody our program about do that. But also too is a big thing about parental involvement. Going from kindergarten at Decker Prairie all the way through Tomball High School there. Kindergarten, everybody's happy to be there. They want to be involved, but then after all the years, they have less and less parents' involvement. It's like, okay, that's the school's problem, not my problem. And it's like, we need that same energy from kindergarten all the way to the kids are seniors to be there, to asking questions, looking at their folders, make sure they have an A's and B's. And instead of all of a sudden at 6 weeks, why you have a D in class?
Yeah.
Well, the last day of 6 weeks, that's a little bit too late. We should figure that out, the second week of that grading period to figure out, hey, what's going on? What's going on with my kid? Why they're not learning? What's going on? We have had a couple of teachers who were new teachers didn't put enough grades into the thing. So they had like a D or F. So go up there and say, hey, what's going on? Why are we, oh, well, I didn't have enough grades. And now we got all the grades in. Now we have a B.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of parents who don't never look. They just see the final grade. Well, I'm always worried about, okay, it happened to my kid. It probably happens to another kid, and their parents are not involved, not aware of what's going on, and they're punishing their kid for getting a D, which wasn't really their fault. So that really bothered me about trying to do what's right for my kid, but also do right for all the other kids in that same class. So,
Yeah.
I'm always worried about that. I don't want a kid to be punished just because a teacher didn't do something or had enough grades or whatever the case may be. So,
Yeah.
so about that parental involvement has to be there. I tell all parents, just because you might be quote unquote in a bad district does not mean your kid cannot learn. But you have to be there for that kid and for that teacher for your child to learn. So I challenge all the parents out there, say, hey, be involved. You'll be very surprised about how much better your kid can do in school if you're an involved parent. And then there are problems, then you can address those problems as they come up. And, you might need, IEP for more spelling or whatever the case may be. But if you don't know, then you can't complain about not knowing because you didn't show up for nothing.
Yep. Yep. I'm hoping that we'll have a swing back to a lot more parental engagement, community engagement in the schools, and make the schools, the hub of the community. But it can't be the hub of the community if it's just the kids and the teachers. Like, the parents really have to own their part of that, and do so in a way that is going to ask the right questions and be supportive, but also hold schools accountable, right?
Right.
I never had a problem. I never had a problem with parent holding us accountable for something that we should have done that we didn't do. That's their job as a parent. So,
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Moving on to a more kind of a global topic. Offline, we were talking a little bit about vouchers, and in February, kind of vouchers open up here in Texas, where I'm curious to see what type of appetite. When we're talking about vouchers starting in February, what are you hearing in terms of the political landscape, maybe some unintended impacts that are happening or could happen? We're both sports guys, so if there's anything out there that we didn't really think it would go that way, and now all of a sudden it's out of the bag and they can't reel it back in.
Yeah, I was just looking on Facebook. I do a lot of Facebook. I'm old, so Facebook is my use. But they had advertising for sports academies. So you use your voucher, your $10,200 or whatever dollar voucher. They'll give you a laptop. You go to school for 2 hours a day on a laptop, and the rest of the day you practice your sport. So that's baseball, cricket, volleyball, whatever. They're supposed to have a coach for you that you're working out rest of the day. So it's like, that's really interesting. In my opinion, most of the kids, they like the laptop. It's a good idea. It sounds really interesting, but a lot of kids, you got to be disciplined to use the laptop or computer to do your school. I did my master's all online. And so, it was no class. It's just, we had class one day a week, but you had to get on this Zoom and you had to do the work. Nobody's pushing you. So same thing at home. If the kids at home, parents at work,
Yeah.
they might be doing their schoolwork, but who's watching it? Some kids, it does work for them. They have anxiety or whatever about being in a big classroom. So it could work for them, but I think a lot of kids are not going to thrive on that. And I did tell my local state rep about that, and he had no idea about it. So I sent him the advertisement for it off on from Facebook, and he said, "Well, that wasn't how it was intended." Well, I told him, I said, me and a lot of people said, there are going to be a lot of people out there, trying to get these new schools and do whatever we got to do. So, he claims he's going to fix that. Well, I'm not sure what he's going to fix on that. The cat's out of the bag already, so it ain't like you're going to take it back. No sports academies and all that fun stuff. But all this voucher stuff, a lot of times, it's the Republicans say it's only a Democrat deal. They don't want vouchers. I'm a Republican, registered Republican. I think vouchers have a place in there in the whole scheme of education, but it needs to be very direct in what's going on, because how I know it's written about. Yeah, you can get a voucher, you can apply for a voucher, get a voucher, but then if you go into a private school, the private school doesn't know how to take that voucher or your kid. So unless you're a very gifted student, let's say, hell, even in Tomball, you might think you're being disadvantaged, but maybe you have some truancy issues or some type of ADHD or dyslexia problem. Those are a lot that type of people to help you with that are expensive. So why would a private school want to take you on if they're not how to get a dyslexia person in there to help your kid out? So yeah, it'd be really easy. I'm gonna take all the cream of the crop. No kids with no behavioral issues. The parents are involved. Yeah, I'll take your money, no problem. So, but the kids who they're saying this is really for, doesn't mean they're going to go anywhere. They're probably going to end up in the same spot. So, I think it was just a bait and switch for a lot of people. To right now, you already have choice. If you're really that dissatisfied, like for me, I can easily move to Waller or Bryan or do whatever. So, you could get out. You can pay for your own thing, but I think the whole you can go to a private school or parochial school. Yeah, no, you had to be admitted. It's not like it's public school where you show up on the front door and okay, come on in, give me your name, birthday, social security number. You're gonna have to pass a test probably. Where you at, you're a third grader. We need to see, are you on a third grade reading level? If you're not,
Yeah.
you might not get in, because who wants to put you back to, maybe a first grade reading level, something like that. So, um, I think it's gonna be a eye opening of what's gonna go on. And for what I was gonna tell you, my idea was whole thing started off with, I told everybody I could tell, you want to do vouchers, that's cool. You want kids to have choice, that's cool. Parents have choice. I always told everybody, make every kid a free agent. So you can go to any school, anywhere, as long as they accept you. So a kid from Waller wants to come to Tomball, as long as we have room, yeah, come on, we'll take you. Or a kid from Spring want to go to this or that. So every kid go anywhere, that's it. Not just because the public schools are all blocked out from this voucher deal, unless you open up another,
Yeah.
school system. But I'll say, hey, if we have room like this right now, we have, we're opening up West High School next year. We're going to be at half capacity starting off that school off. We put another 200, 300 kids in there. Jim Ross is going to be very happy. He's always one of those, hey, we got to utilize the school. We're paying for the same AC and lights. We have to maximize the use of it. Then I would think, that to me, that's the best possible scenario, to where, hey, I really like, kid might want to be an FFA. Well, a lot of private schools don't have FFA, or they want to go to a better program, let them have it. And that way, if you want true competition, that's how you get it. And then you get some of these ISDs who are, just doing kind of bare minimum, I think.
Yep.
It's gonna make them be a business. It's gonna make say, hey, we have to step our game up. It's not the good old boy system, to where we get our fraternity brother or sorority sister in a job. We need the best people. So if you're not the best person, sorry, we gotta go. It's all competition now. So to me, that's if you want a true competition, that's where we should have gone to. So this only private schools, and now we got these academies who are doing this thing. That's how I would see it now. It probably never come to that, because it's too many, too much politics in it. I know even the homeschool, my big thing too for the homeschool kids or organizations, the state's not saying, hey, you had to pass the TAS test or any type of or state test, right? I guarantee in 2 to 4 years, they're gonna say, hey, well, since you're taking state money, we need to make sure you're graduating with you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So now to take the voucher, you got to take the test. And a lot of people got away from that. They were going to these homeschools and charter schools to get away from the test. The test is going to follow you, because you're taking state money.
Yeah.
And the state, to me, the whole overall thing is, to me, the whole goal is for the state to take over all of education, not just the public schools. So this is their wiggle room to get in. This is their Trojan horse to get into every level of education possible. So you might have a Catholic school who never take money. They might have 5 kids. Okay, Catholic school, you need now to administer the whatever test we're gonna have to all the kids. Well, we don't want to do that. Well, you're taking state voucher money, so we got to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's the backroom deal they made, and that's what they're going to do. And we'll see what happens. And I might be wrong, but once your state gets into anything, they don't get out of it.
Yeah, kind of a free agent model of, because I would never be worried about competing. Like if I was, a superintendent, fine, bring on the competition. Like we're going to do it better and have a better experience here. But hold everybody to the same standard of the competition, whatever those stakes are have to be. I can't be playing with one arm behind my back.
Yeah, I can only talk for Tomball ISD, but I know when this all came up like 3 or 4 years ago, I think we all said, "Hey, bring it on! We can compete with anybody out there." So I think Tomball ISD would be a net winner in the whole thing. So it'd be like, yeah, bring it on. I mean, we got everything that you could ever possibly want, and we're putting more in every year. Well, not me personally every year, but they're adding more classes, adding more schools, adding more features. They keep adding more stuff to us. So if you're in a low performance school, why would you not come to Tomball if you had a choice, or if you could? So, and especially for the coaches, hey, we need a 7-footer center. Let's go find that kid. You get a 6'9" guy who's behind a 7-footer. Hey, you want to come to Tomball and come be a center for us? You're not playing now. You would be the main focus.
So you're saying like the transfer portal? We need a transfer portal for
Exactly, transfer portal and do whatever. But that could probably bring some equity in the sports arena too. We might have some kids. We might have some kids who leave for baseball, but I know on our championship team we had some kids who were sitting on a bench who could have been starting on other high schools, but I guess a ring's a ring, I guess, right? So, but I mean, it could hurt us too on some of the sports items.
Well, yeah.
Management and vision and all that fun stuff. But live by the sword, buy by the sword too. So, but for overall, policy, it's free agent. Go where you want to go, as long as you're not a knucklehead student.
Yeah, I've taken up a lot of your time. I want to end with some. I want you to impart some advice, but I want to use a quick story. We talked about it last time we saw each other at a conference, and so for the people who are listening and watching, my first board presentation as an assistant superintendent in Tomball ISD, it was IB. So we were looking at, should we implement international baccalaureate and top? So I'd done a ton of research, and it was kind of my first big project that Dr. Zamora had asked me to lead. And I was like, all right, I've got all the information. I got the cost down. I got the cost structure. I was feeling really good. And so Mr. Schiel gave me a little bit of a butt chewing on a couple of items, and it's now one of the best memories, and we laughed so hard about it. Like for the time I was, for the three and a half years I was in Tomball ISD, like it was always a running joke, and I took it on the chin. New administrators, because there are some very young, like you said, the talent pool is very, very, I would say, shallow, nationwide, because people are leaving the profession. You got young people that don't have a ton of experience, and the job has changed so drastically. What's some of the advice you would give, that cabinet level leader when they jump up there and they're having a big presentation to a school board member or the board at large, and it's it's open forum. There's a lot that could be asked. Like, what's some advice that you'd throw out there to those folks?
I don't think you do. You probably can't do all the research. You probably can do all of it. But I would say, hey, like for the IB thing, I know a lot of people say it's a great program. I'm not a big fan of the UN and all that fun stuff. My phone has never rang for anybody saying I need IB. Like, what are we doing here? We're trying to solve a problem for no problem at all. But I know Magnolia has it and all that stuff, but I'm just not a big proponent of anything that deals with the UN. Just my political take.
Yeah, no. I didn't even know about the UN until you brought it up. I didn't research that part of it. I was just looking around. So
It's okay. I mean, I taught you something a little bit, but I would say make sure you don't lie on anything, or you kind of have to do it, or like on cost. A lot of people on the boards, they're in private industry. They've been around. They got a lot of gray hair. So if you say something's going to cost this much, you better be digging right. That's how much it costs, because somebody will say, "What are you talking about? I just got that for another price," or "There's no way you can get it for that cheap. There's no way. Show me where you got numbers from." Oh, well, you think start stammering. You gotta say, "Hey, I found it from this website," or "I called this one person and got the quote," or whatever it is. So you gotta be digging sure you're right on all your numbers, because we're going to come back behind you and say, "Yeah, that's BS. You can't do that." So if you're fibbing on this, why are you fibbing on anything else you're fibbing on that one? So that, to me, that's it's hard to do a lot of research because it's a lot of out there. You don't know what's real, what's not real, and you got other deals, you got other things you're dealing with. But I would say make sure your numbers are correct as best you can, and don't try to solve problems that are not there. So listen to your community, listen to your board member. I know Dr. Z during her twice a year breakfast, just say, well, what's up? What's on your mind? What's, planting little seeds here and there. And she'd come up with an idea. We said, no, we're not doing that. So don't even bring that up. So she was really good about that, seeing what is the temperature of the school board. If she had a plan for something, she would have run it to us before to see if we're all on board. If not, then she canned it because she don't get fired. Which that's an ideal situation. I mean, we could probably talk a whole nother set just on this question by itself. I know my school, my guy said, their quote is, "Why is the fence up? Who put the fence up? Why is it there before you start tearing it down?" So I think that's probably a good, good thought pattern about, okay, there's whatever this is reason what we're doing it for. Why are we doing it before we tear it down? So before you start doing anything or trying to change anything, just figure out why we doing it. Especially if you're brand new into the district, you don't know all the past 50 years of history, which people are going to bring up to you. I'm sure you did, Dr. Fernandez. I'm sure you have people coming, well, 50 years ago, this is how we did it. Well, you don't know all that stuff. I mean, we get interviewed. It's always rainbows and unicorns. You don't hear any of the bad stuff until you actually get there. I start talking to people. So I would say, before you do anything, you got to at least be there 6 months to a year. Don't change anything. Don't do anything. Just figure out what's going on. What's the real story? What's really going on? And then as things change or things go on, then you start making these little small changes. And then before you get to your big one, just don't come up with a big change before you did some little ones. Because people gotta trust you. If they can trust you, it's like your kids. I can trust you with a quarter. Okay, you did a good job with the quarter. You bought a piece of candy. You didn't do something else with it. Okay, now I can give you 50 cents. Then I give you $1 because I know I can trust you with small stuff or small jobs. I'm not going to just give you here's $100. Go wild in Buc-ee's. The same thing with school district stuff. You gotta start small, work to up. Don't try to plunge in, and then because it doesn't work, then you're gonna have that's gonna be pretty bad. Have some wins first.
Yeah.
Don't strike out on the first thing, and then people then start asking, well, why we hired this person for? The first thing they try to do, they flamed out or it didn't work. So, what's going on, and sometimes you gotta have the long term plan. Because it might not work for 3 months, but we gotta have these little short cycles and see what's going on. So. It's like anything, you got to plan, and then, plan your work and work your plan. But, from my school here, we got a couple of people who want to be superintendents. I asked them why do you want to be superintendent? For the money. I mean, you're on call 24/7. You get chewed at by people who don't know anything. I know the professors at my school, I know a little bit about education, but those guys have forgotten more than I know. So I'm not gonna go up there to anybody saying, "Well, it has to be this way." It's there. I've been schooled on that too. So it's the whole school thing is complicated system financially. The whole financing of education. I think there's probably like 5 guys in all the state of Texas really know what's going on and how to do it. Everybody else is just amateurs. If somebody tells you they know how to finance it, yeah, they're lying to you. They're probably
100%
lying to you. There's only like 5 people.
Yeah, they're paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of school districts are.
So, all these, so it's like, I try to get into financing, how to do it, because I try to do some research on how, even for my project, I'm trying to do how much did, one thing I couldn't really find out was how much money did the state of Texas spend on CTE. People I call CTE people, well, that's finance. Finance tells me to go talk to CTE people. And they say, well, look at this report. And between me and my wife, I can't figure out how much money we spent. I know we spent a bunch of money, but to really give the whole grasp of what we spend on CTE just by itself, no idea. I don't think nobody does. And so it's like, when I saw that, I was like, well, no wonder we can't solve this financing problem, because we don't even know all the real numbers, that go into it. So you can't fix something if you don't know all the numbers. So we're gonna just keep kicking the can down the road there, and maybe somebody smarter than all of us will figure it out. But until then, we just gotta make the best of it and do what's best for kids and best for best for staff and the best for parents, and see what happens.
Well said. Well said. Well, sir, I appreciate your time. I know we've been talking about it for quite some time, so I appreciate it, particularly on the first day of the new year. And I'll let you get back to your work. And let's do it again, because I think this is going to be a crazy year for education. So there'll be plenty to talk about 6 months, 8 months down the road. I'm quite sure.
Yeah, we're going to have more elections this coming year. So it's always funny that everybody starts to be school district experts right during school board elections. It's always amazing that everybody doesn't say anything until school board elections, and everybody's an expert.
Yeah.
So it's fun. But thanks for having me on. I thought you kind of forgot about me about this, but I'm glad you called me up, and it's been fun. Like anything, I don't know all the answers, but I do know I know what I know. And it could be wrong, could be right. I don't know, but I'll at least tell you what I think and what I've seen in the past.
One of the reasons I respected you so much as a board member and respect you as just a man is just, I always knew where I stood. I knew you're going to ask common sense questions. I knew it was in the best interest of the district, and it was very transparent. Like, this is what, do this, do that, don't do this, do that. And that, like you said, you knew where you stood, and you never had to go figure stuff out. Like, all right, was he going to be okay with this? And for somebody in a cabinet level or superintendent, then that's critical. The consistency of knowing where people are and what they believe and what they feel about the school district. So I want to say thank you for that, because that really did. You don't know that how much that matters until you go somewhere else, and then that is not the case, and you're like, well, hell, I don't know where anybody stands. It's all nonsense. So I really appreciate that, and I know all the people in Tomball and Dr. Z really appreciate your leadership and being on the team of 8 for the time that you were there.
Yes, sir.
And if you like what you heard and saw, please like and subscribe and share, and we'll have another episode of Solve for X in the near future. Thank you. Thanks for joining us on Solve for X. Please follow, like, and subscribe for more episodes. And until next time, keep asking the right questions and solving for X.